Hey everyone, my name is Anna. I'm a wife of an addict in recovery, and I'm also recovering myself from codependency.
Hey everybody, I'm Mitchell. I'm a gratefully recovering addict and alcoholic. I'm grateful to be here. Good to
Uh,
see you guys again.
yeah, good to see you guys. First off, thanks everyone for your understanding and patience. I know Mitchell and I have been missing for 3 weeks. Mitchell's been very supportive and helpful of the family and of me. You all know that we were struggling with COVID for a while. My mom got COVID last. She did have to go in the hospital with COVID and pneumonia, and it was a very scary time. I had a lot of anxiety, so it was very hard for me to come on. But Mitchell did an amazing job taking care of my family and letting me process with support. So I just wanted to thank all of you on here for your understanding and your love as always. But that's the reason why we weren't on for a while. So I really thank you for your patience. Hey, everybody. So tonight, Mitchell and I are going to read the impact letter that I wrote the first time while Mitchell was in rehab. I have to be honest, I'm very nervous right now. I'm filled with anxiety. I told Mitchell that before we came on. And reason being is because usually Mitchell and I have only read it once and in a private Zoom, not here on We Are Recovery where it's to the public. And so it's just a little nerve wracking. I think there's thoughts in my head of are people going to judge? But I know that it's a very supportive family that we have on We Are Recovery. Mitchell, any thoughts that you have about on the impact letter or anything?
Well, I mean, I think something that helps. Yeah, I was taking a nap.
Yeah,
so.
I woke him up. I was like, Mitchell, you want to still do it? Sure.
But I just want to say that you have to realize this is to the addict.
Yeah.
This is the first impact letter. After 9 years of addiction and abuse and behavior, so it's gonna make you, it makes you feel a little raw and vulnerable, but it's a hard thing to go through addiction. You know what I mean? There's a lot of feelings, there's a lot of stuff. I don't have a hard time listening to it really, because I know that's not me. I know that's not me, and I think that maybe for the loved ones it brings up back into that addiction kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And it brings that shame and guilt and stuff like that. Whereas me, I can kind of chalk it up as that was the worst part of me that was in addiction. You know what I mean? That was the worst part of my life. So it almost makes me feel good of where I am now. You know what I mean? So I'm not really as tied to it as much. And another reason.
That's a good way to put it too, baby.
And another reason is I think that I don't remember that much when I was in addiction, at least the last couple years. So I really don't resonate with it. I know it all happened. I know all this stuff. And there's parts that make me feel sad, but I just I'm gonna give you some extra courage and love and compassion, to make it through. And I just want everybody to know that I don't judge and I don't feel sad or shameful at all. You know what I mean? So I think this is a powerful thing to get through. I know whenever I was in treatment, I read this to the people that I was in treatment with. And then I also read the next couple letters that Anna wrote me, because it just showed that you can come from this to healthy, and it is possible. So
I told a few people this tonight. What I want to do is I want to let everyone know also, I'm just going to be flat out honest on here of the letter that you're going to hear. And actually, it's a really good thing that you're going to hear this, is because this is me before I knew anything about codependency. This is me before I knew anything about addiction. This is me before I knew anything about separating the loved one from the addict, okay? So In here also, I'm going to be completely honest, there's a last paragraph that we're going to go on, and I completely admit to everyone on here that that last paragraph was a lot of lies, and what I best could say is a lot of masks. I just thought, isn't this what I'm supposed to do? Aren't I supposed to be the good wife? Aren't I supposed to, if someone is going through addiction and now has found rehab or recovery, I can't leave now. So I'm going to be honest that the last paragraph was me just putting on masks, thinking it was the right thing to do, not that that's what I wanted to do. I know that it was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and to be completely honest, I was ready to go even there. So I just wanted to be upfront and honest with people so that it's not like, oh, there's that hope really at the end. I'm going to be honest, I had a little hope that Mitchell would find recovery, but if I put it on a balance, I really wanted to leave and I was ready. So I just wanted to be honest with everyone on here. So right before we read this, guys, an impact letter is something that we write to our loved ones that have addiction. It's something that we write the truth about what's going on in our lives and how it impacts us, okay? So this is what this is going to be. So I'm going to read this now. So this is the first impact letter. I don't know when it was. It was when Mitchell was his first time in rehab. Do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, 2017. I went in October 30th. This was probably around November 7th or 8th.
Okay, so around this November 7th or 8th in the year 2017, okay? All right, guys, so we're going to read the impact letter. Dear Mitchell, I was asked to write you a letter about what your addiction has done to me and our relationship. It's honestly hard for me to write a letter like this because I know once I reread it, I will ask myself why I didn't leave. Your addiction has broken me, Mitchell. It has put a wall between our relationship and at the same time crumbled it, which has made me question multiple times if I should walk out the door. There was even a time I remember being at your parents' house looking up divorce in the state of Pennsylvania, while you continuously texted me hurtful things. You were stating to me, like always, everything that was happening was all my fault. Not one bit was ever yours. Everyone else's, but never yours. You told me I spent too much time with your family and that I should be talking to you, not to them. But Mitchell, I would talk to you thousands of times, but you never cared and you never listened. I felt as if I was talking to nobody. All you would do is constantly scream on the top of your lungs at me, say the meanest things I could ever imagine, and then the never-changing pattern would begin. You'd scream, I'd get hurt, cry alone, you'd come apologize, and say things would get better. And then I would hope things would change. The cycle always continuous, never faltering. Mitchell, I may still be standing by your side, but don't you ever think for a second it was an extremely painful path I continued to walk. Sometimes it felt like an unimaginable task, because I was staring at a man that was not my Mitchell. It was not the man I made vows to, my husband. It was a stranger. I felt like all you wanted to do was isolate me, and to actually break me, Mitchell. That's why you didn't want me talking or spending time with your family and my friends. You always told me you didn't want me to talk to my own parents about us, which made me start questioning, am I doing the wrong thing here by reaching out? All the while, you were snorting a substance up your nose to get a quick high, while you continuously lied to me, and I started to break. Mitchell, do you understand how much that killed me? You didn't care, or in all honesty, even notice I was breaking, slipping, all the time I kept trying to pull you out of the darkness. You were supposed to be the one comforting me while I was crying, but you were the one causing it. You'd leave me alone, always alone. My parents would call to see if I was okay, and all I would do was deny their calls, because I was so ashamed of the situation I continuously chose to be in and the person I became. I did this to my own parents, Mitchell. You know how much they mean to me. but I ignored them because I didn't want to talk to anyone. I also thought I was doing wrong. I just wanted to hide, and that's what I did. I started to notice I didn't want to do anything, talk to anyone, all the time when I knew I was never alone because there were people that cared for me, even if that wasn't you. I continuously make myself be alone. I had anxiety attacks and panic attacks almost every day, and I would hide them from you because I felt like I needed to be strong for you, or I knew you would crumble. I told you in the beginning about them, but you didn't care. It became easier to not tell you because it was less painful. It hurt to see the man I love not care when I told him something hurt. And God, did that hurt. I felt like I constantly had to be strong for you, Mitchell, because no matter the amount of pain you caused me, I didn't want to see you slip away any further than you already had. I didn't want to lose the man that I once loved. But even love was hard to find sometimes, when the man I was looking at was a stranger. Making love to you was a task, a chore. I didn't even want you touching me, Mitchell. And I'd close my eyes because I wanted all of it just to go away. I would get sick to my stomach sometimes because I truly didn't want you near me. I wanted to push you away because you caused me so much pain and so much hurt. But you would always act like you had done nothing wrong, had caused no pain, and I think that might be one of the biggest things that killed me besides the lying. You pretending nothing ever happened. You would act as if all was forgiven, and even after multiple times I told you it was not, and that your sorries meant nothing anymore. But I really think because I chose to stay by your side, you thought everything was okay, no matter how many times you lied and hurt me. I made a choice to leave my family, my friends, my home, so you could take a chance here with the company. And it kills me, Mitchell, that you took that chance I made and made me regret it at times. I miss my family so much. I miss my mommy and daddy more than words can describe, and it killed me when you were hurting me mentally and leaving me utterly alone. I had no one to wrap their arms around me to tell me it was going to be all right. And it hurt even more because I so badly wanted those arms to be yours. This time you left me. And you shut your phone off because we had a fight. God, Mitchell, I wish you could have felt how devastated you left me. I was crying and screaming on the top of my lungs. Why, God, why? I hate him. I hate him. Why does he leave me alone? Please make this go away. Please, God, it hurts so much I can't. It hurt, Mitchell. It hurt so much, baby. I'm actually crying right now while I write this because this was one of those times my strength utterly disappeared and I wanted to give up. I was so alone. My father was in the hospital with my mother by his side and I did not want to put any stress on them. I also didn't want to call Andrea because she had already put up with so much. I've never felt that way in my life where I really had no idea what to do, so lost. And this fight, Mitchell, was because of you lying, where you created even more lies that same day. Mitchell, if you really think about it, nearly most of our fights have been about you lying, whether it be drinking, drugs, or money. But the money also was because of the drugs. $37,000 of it, Mitchell. And that's just what's on credit cards. That's not counting our bank account. All in 1 year, Mitchell. Now do you understand why I would always ask you where the money went or discuss bills? Because previously, when you had a hold of the finances, we were having 30-day shut-off notices coming to our door continuously. Mitchell, I would love to not care about money, but it's very hard not to when your husband is taking out $700 in 1 week and you don't know how you're going to pay the mortgage. I don't want to feel this way about money, Mitchell, because money is not everything. But I felt so vulnerable of basic necessities being taken away from me, from us, because you didn't care how much you spent. And even though I asked where the money went, it never mattered, because all you would do was continuously lie to me and cover up your addiction. Mitchell, having the person you love stand in front of you and sincerely look into your eyes and tell you they're not drunk or on drugs while they're swaying back and forth is like this rage of anger because you know you're being lied to, but also this scream inside of pain, wondering why they won't let you in so you can help. God, I wanted to help you, Mitchell. Do you understand how much it destroys you inside watching the person you love keep making the same mistakes and hurting the people they care about the most? It crushed me. All those emotions, it honestly made me feel insane. But then the disappointment and pain of being hurt again creeps in, and you wonder, why do I keep myself in this situation? I've gone through the thousands of lies, the matching amounts of I'm sorry, I really am Anna, the debt because of your drug addiction, the straining of relationships of my family and yours, the stealing, the loneliness, all just to be lied to some more. I am angry with you, Mitchell, and I can't deny that. I'm also so very disappointed in you and broken. I think what hurts the most, though, is how you continuously and knowingly took advantage of my good nature, my personality, me, which I should never have allowed you to do. So I can't lay all that fault on you because I could have said no. I could have walked out the door, but I stayed. So in all honesty, I'm very angry with myself too. Mitchell, the day when I tried to block you from leaving the house as you stood in front of me, something finally broke. That's why I stepped out of your way. I told you, go ahead and leave. It doesn't matter. I'll feel the same as if you're here in front of me, alone. I don't know why saying those words that day hit you when I have stated them 100 times before for over 2 years. But you broke down and cried. As did I. Deep down, I don't think you ever tried to purposely hurt me, Mitchell. I think that was the addiction. But that doesn't stop how I felt, how you made me feel. In my mind, I don't understand how you could hurt someone so much that you truly love, no matter the situation. But the truth is, I can't see the world through your eyes, through your addiction. But what I do know is, and this is where I'm going to tell you the math started. No matter how much pain you have caused me, how far you have pushed me to break, you are always worth saving, Mitchell. You're a remarkable person, and I wish you could see yourself through my eyes when your shadow disappears, because that's what's going to get you through the darkness. Yourself, your light. As I've told you before, I will tell you every day if you need my sweetheart. We all have our own demons, and as long as you keep fighting yours, I will continuously stand by your side. As long as you are honest with me, and most importantly, yourself. And I guess I did put the date down here. I wrote it November 17th, 2017. So that was my first impact letter to Mitchell. And I will tell you, I wrote a second one, but I'm not going to read that one. And the reason why I'm not going to read that one, guys, is when Mitchell went into rehab the second time, I was very angry with him. And to be honest, I didn't want to give him a lot of my time because I felt like I had so much hope with those 6 months. And so for me, I didn't want to write anything else, but there was one night that Mitchell was high and drunk downstairs. And so I went up to the bedroom upstairs and I was so hurt and felt really alone. And so I just wrote out a thought pattern. So my second impact letter was a lot of a thought pattern of just expressing deeper thoughts of how I felt very, very alone and how I started to get scared because I actually liked, in a sense, being depressed. And I know that may sound weird to people out there, but the reason why it started to feel comfortable to me and it felt more of a friend to me than my own husband at the time. And so I always knew the depression and sadness would be there for me. So it was, truthfully, it was consistent, but it was pretty dark going in. It was just the thought patterns that I had. But go ahead, Mitchell.
Yeah, no, and I think that I think this is perfect for, this is like, so good for a first letter, I think, because like I remember Anna wrote it. They sent it to my therapist, so I couldn't read it alone. I had to read it with a therapist, and would go over things. And this is what I need to hear. This is what I needed to hear. And like honestly, I didn't think there was going to be a chance for me and Anna to make things work. Like being like a couple weeks or 2 or 3 weeks out of the addiction, being so close to that, like I needed to hear all this stuff because I knew all this stuff was happening, but in the still use of addiction, and I don't care if you're getting high that day or that week, but the still use of that cycle, right? Because what's like in the midst of that whole cycle, like a couple days or a week clean or whatever, like that's great, but if you're not working a program, it's not gonna be sustainable. And in that kind of part of addiction, like we know it, but we can't register it. So like in the early stages of like getting a clear head, like I needed to hear this stuff again and again. And I read this probably 4 or 5 times my first time in treatment, so I could keep on remembering what that addiction was like, right? Because I needed to realize that I was leaving people alone, that I was being very selfish, that it looked to everybody like I was choosing drugs and alcohol and lying to them. These things have to register with us, or with me. I wouldn't say with us. They had to register with me because like that was what I was fighting against with sobriety, right? So those are like the things I needed to grasp onto in sobriety, so I wouldn't go back to that. Because like in addiction, like I said, I knew those things were happening, but like it's just like a veil, and it's like it's not true, and then you're doing it, and then it's like it's not true, and then they forgive you, and then it's, you know what I mean? So it's good to have, and this is the tip of the iceberg of the stuff that I did, you know what I mean? Like there's a couple moments of like really painful stuff in here, but that's like nothing compared to the day-to-day.
I'm gonna be honest.
You know what I mean?
I'll be honest. This was the first time I read this letter, and was like, I don't even think I touched 1% of what happened in the addiction.
No,
because I think it's because when we're going through it though, Mitchell, it's so much a blur. But there are so many moments that are in my mind that never were spoken about in here. And it's just...
No, because you think about it, your baseline in addiction in survival mode is like crazy, chaotic, trauma.
Yeah.
So you remember these like big instances, but like, we can tell everybody on here, and I think it shows that because like as we get farther into recovery, which we both get farther into recovery from our own behaviors, is new stuff comes around and we work on that.
Yeah.
Right? Like you brought up something the other day of like that, I don't know if I've ever told you this. And I'm like, yeah, I think you have, but we went farther in detail. So there's another layer of the trauma, So like now with the knowledge you had, if you sat down, and we always said about writing a book or something, but like if you could get all those situations out, it would be a couple 1,000-page book of just traumatic experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's hard, guys, is because honestly what's hard is when I'm reading this letter, now I'm thinking a lot of the times between the lines of when I'm thinking of specific moments and there's just more detail to them. Yeah. So really like talking about, being over one time at your parents' house and then the addict telling me, that I'm a wimp, that, I'm just running away, that the reason why we have these problems is because I'm not being a good wife and talking to you, and it's a marital problem, so it should stay between us, or being over Andrea's house. And I remember showing Andrea some of the texts that you were sending me, and that's when Andrea was like, you can stay at my house whenever you want, and that's why I stayed over there. And one of the times that like it's not in here, but I know it might have been, I think, I can't, that's the part that's hard, and I know a lot of you can relate to this with me, is that when you go through things like this, it's very hard to put the timeline in order. And sometimes I know the events, but I don't know when they exactly happen. And my thing is I know when Andrea did allow me to stay at her house, and I was over there for a good week. When I finally came home, because I was like, Anna, you can do this. Like, you got to be positive, go back over there. And when I went over, you were laying on the couch. And in my mind is, if your wife's been missing for a week, or not missing, I told you I need to go away for a week, and she comes back and says, hey, let's go kayaking, or let's have a talk, let's do something, and you look back at me and just said, I didn't know you were coming back, so I'm tired and I just want to watch my show. I remember picking up my 2 trash bags and going right back into the Jeep and driving back over to Andrea's house, because I could not fathom that or believe that in my mind.
You wanted someone to be like, I've missed you. I
Yes.
love you, right? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
and that's, it's
and
just
in a healthy mind, that's what it would have been.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the insanity. And I think that we were talking about this the other day too, is like the hardest thing for me is like seeing or hearing some of these things I said in addiction, right? Like those are the things I don't remember. And like the texts and the things like that, like I can't even conceive of saying those things to you.
I
So
know.
like that really gets me back into like, oh, I'm a crappy person kind of mentality, because I can't even imagine saying those. So like, you know, addiction or not, because it's not about the addiction, it's about the behaviors, right? The addiction brings out those behaviors for sure. But it's about the behaviors, you know what I mean? So if anybody is still talking to you that way, you know, baiting you with like, you know, hurtful things and saying you don't do anything, you're worthless, you're weak, that's not right. Like the behavior, that is not right. And they need to work on themselves, and you know, you need to work on holding boundaries, because that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Right? Like without any of that behavior along with the addiction, you know, yes, things probably would have gotten bad, but that's the part that's like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing me through this stuff. Because if you're not lying about stuff and you're doing drinking or drugging and you're not lying, you're probably in some form of like honest relationship where you both know what each other does, and it's like been agreed upon that this is okay.
Yeah.
But when the behaviors come out and it's that you know, that narrative of just shame and guilt and like gaslighting, that's what it's all about. That's what drives you to like, something's wrong. I don't like this person.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why, guys, it's so, I think it's very therapeutic for us as family members to write impact letters, even if you don't give them to your other. And the reason is because there's a lot that we're not heard and seen about with our loved one. And so when we're able just to get it out of our mind and put it down on paper, it really helps. And then if you do have good, healthy support, okay, that people that understand what you're going through, it's always good to share with them, but make sure it is a safe environment for you to do so, because being validated and being heard is something and a big part of our healing. Because unfortunately, when we love someone in addiction, numerous times we try to tell them the pain that's being caused, but we really just feel not heard and not seen. And then that's what creates the insanity. We're saying something to somebody we love and our mind goes, well, shouldn't you care? And then someone will gaslight and say, well, you shouldn't feel this way. I didn't even do anything that bad. Like, you're overreacting. And I will tell you guys, that's one of the things I was just talking to someone today that was really hard for me. I think the 2 hardest things, honestly, for me with Mitchell, obviously with the addict was the lying, but the second was always the constant. I'd tell what I was feeling. You shouldn't feel that way. Why are you feeling that way? It only happened this many times. You're overreacting. That's not that big of a deal. And I used to get so frustrated to the point where I don't usually blow up, but I remember one specific time really being like, stop telling me how I feel. It's my feelings. And I got really frustrated and really upset. And this is something that Mitchell and I just talked about the other day. Another reason why the impact letters is so important is because we got to remember our loved one, when they're in addiction, they are working on the survival brain of the part of the brain. And so that's 15 seconds. So their memory really, it's not that good, one, because of numbing. And 2, when you're in survival response, you're not really here in the now, here in the now. So you're not really taking things in. So there's a lot that they don't remember. And an impact letter is a way to bring that to them. As much as Mitchell and I were talking the other day, if you ask me what blips really made big in my mind, was when Mitchell went to the bank, got it all set up, and asked me to co-sign with him $110,000 loan against our house so that we could pay off his debt. And then also, you told me that we were going to buy kitchen equipment for cupcakes so I could have a cupcake business.
See, I don't remember.
Yeah, see, exactly. And that's the thing.
It's terrible.
He doesn't remember that at all. I just told you $110,000 loan he wanted me to co-sign. Actually went to the bank, got all the paperwork talking. He was talking to the woman. I remember calling my mom up, telling my mom that he wants me to sign a $110,000 loan. And I'm going to be completely honest with you all out there. I will show you how codependent I was. I didn't want Mitchell to yell at me. I didn't want any more of that verbal abuse. So my mind, I was going to sign it. And why? Because a part of me was like, well, maybe if he gets out of this debt, maybe he'll feel better and maybe he won't go into the addiction. Maybe the debt is part of the problem. And so I called up my mom, and I will always remember my mom on the phone going, don't you dare sign that. And so I thank God for my mom every day for saying that, because that made me do the hard. I was in the car with one of my friends, and when it really hit me was this. I was really upset because when I called Mitchell and told him I will not sign the loan, the addict freaked out on me, yelling mean things, saying things that we're not going to repeat on here. And all I remember is getting off the phone and getting really, really upset and crying. And my friend looked at me and said, Anna, do you remember how you told me a year ago that you believe that Mitchell wants to make you sad and wants to hurt you? And I said, yeah. And he looked at me and he said he did it. That was a massive eye-opening experience for me. That made me really realize that I changed. And like I said to everyone on here, please just know, one of the things that I really realized is I did have good people around me that wanted to support me. I had Mitchell's family. I had my family. I had good friends. However, I know a lot of people that love someone in addiction can relate to this with me. I just was so mentally exhausted that what happened was, because of the gaslighting and the manipulation and all those things that were there, I just didn't feel like I had even one more word to express to anybody. So what happened was it was the weirdest thing that I can express is I wanted to dig a hole in the backyard and literally lie in that and have no one find me. But at the same time, at the deep, dark part, my corner of my soul, I wanted someone to come and save me.
Well, there's no, I mean, you have people concerned and stuff, but there's no answers, right? There's no answers because it's hard work.
Yes.
It's a lot of hard work that you have to do.
Yep.
There's a lot of hard work that I had to do.
Yep.
Like, no one was saving me. Like, the loan wouldn't have saved me. The business didn't save me. The house didn't save me. The friends, the family, all that stuff didn't save me. Like, I had to save myself.
Yeah.
Eventually, I had to save myself. And it helps to have, like Anna said, those friends and family and people that you know, pull you out of the insanity for moments. Like your friend says, like, you are that sad person now.
Yeah.
Your mom says, don't you dare sign that loan.
Yep.
You know, Andrea, come and stay here for a week.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Those people are doing the best they can, and they're telling you, but it's not a solution for long term. It's like, this is great, but like, how do I live? How do I go from here to happy? Right? What does that line look like? How do I go from here to like trust? How do I go from here to, you know, feeling like me at all?
Yeah.
And those answers aren't just black and white.
No.
You know what I mean? They're in the journey. They're in the journey of what do I need? They're in the journey of giving trust. They're in the journey of writing these letters and you know, planting a seed of treatment or holding boundaries. Like that's what has to happen. And then there's a lot of pain and hurt that comes with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's why it's also a big thing, guys. Anybody on here, if you feel like you are alone and you feel like you do not have a support system, I am asking you, please reach out to me. Please reach out to Mitchell. Okay, we can send you. Yeah, we can send you resources so that you can have your own support system. You're not supposed to do this alone. None of us can actually do this alone. Yes, we make the decisions, but we need a really good support system around us, okay? Because I absolutely felt very alone. But until Mitchell went to Alpine Recovery Lodge and I met Laura and I met that whole family, my Alpine support family, I'm telling you right now, I know I would not be where I am without them. I can say that wholeheartedly. Learning about codependency, learning about boundaries, learning about separating your loved one, okay? Learning about yourself. So I'll let anybody on here, if we do have any newcomers, please don't go far if you don't want to. Mitchell and I, we try to do this every Monday. We try to come on with a different topic that we share, that the knowledge we've learned along the way from amazing, vulnerable people, that they were with us. And then we try to use our own personal stories, because one of the things, again, I was telling someone out here today is, yeah, I was filled with anxiety. I was sweating, I'm telling you. I was really filled with anxiety thinking about reading this tonight, because I'm thinking about family members that haven't heard this before. I'm thinking about friends that haven't heard this before. I'm thinking about people out there judging, because to be honest, I judged myself for how long? Man, anytime anybody told me just leave, it was like, I'm telling myself that every single moment I go through this. I understand that, but it hurt to hear it from somebody else. Yeah. So for me, it's imperative that we have the support system. And right now, I'm going to be honest, I actually feel better just getting it out. Because one of the things that I do like that's in the AA room and the NA room and wherever else it is that secrets keep you sick. That's something that I live by. Even if I think it's the smallest thing that I'm fibbing about, I don't do it anymore, because I realize it's me hurting myself, and then therefore I'm lying to other people that I don't want to do that to, because I'm not having a true connection. As simple as if someone text messages me and says, Anna, did you not read my text? And my mind first wants to go to, oh, are they going to be upset with me? Are they going to be hurt by me? I don't want to tell them the truth. I try to think of an excuse, and then I go, why am I doing this? Because this is hurting me and this is hurting somebody else. And that's the very things that we all needed to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to say that if there's people out there that see this that are addicts, that maybe aren't seeking recovery yet, but know that there's a problem, because I'll tell you that we all know there's a problem, right? We all know that there's something wrong. I've known something that's been wrong. I know there's been something wrong and a void in me since I was so young, and then with drugs and alcohol, I knew I was going against my core beliefs and who I was. So we know we want to change. I mean, there's no way around that. It's just what is enough to make us change. Yeah. I just want to say that, like, in not challenging yourself, you are letting your loved ones have an absolute stranger in their lives that are just berating them and manipulating them and traumatizing them, and you're saying it's okay, because for all those years of addiction, even before Anna and all this stuff, like, I was a stranger. I was letting a stranger into my loved ones' lives and letting that stranger traumatize them, and I was saying okay. I was okay with that. And if you would ask me if I would let somebody that I didn't trust around my family, like now, I'd say absolutely not. And I would fight tooth and nail to not let that happen. But the fact of the matter is I did, and it was me. It was the person, it was the addiction inside this body that was still me, but like I was letting that happen by not choosing to like challenge myself, and become something different, become who I was meant to be. So like, don't do that to your loved ones anymore. I mean, if I found out Anna was cheating on me, I wouldn't like that. But when I was in addiction, like, pretty much she was cheating on me with the addict. You know what I mean? She wasn't trying to. The addict, I was that person. You know what I mean? So I need to get angry at that individual, that addiction, that behavior, and use that to say no more,
Yeah, that's why we're not doing anything wrong when we stand up for ourselves. No one's doing anything wrong by standing up for themselves. Even though the addict tells us, yes, we are, we're doing a lot of wrong by standing up for ourselves. That's because the addict doesn't want you to find your strength, okay? Misery loves misery. And that's exactly what my friend was expressing is, the addict wanted you in misery. And this is what you feel now. And so that's why it was so eye-opening, okay? And so family members out there, you're hearing both Mitchell and I saying, it's absolutely okay to stand up for yourself. It's absolutely okay to say no to the behaviors. You're not doing anything wrong, and you will never, ever be the reason they use, okay? That is an excuse. Don't take the excuse. Put that right back on them. All right? You will never be the reason why they use or they relapse. That is an excuse that they want to use to keep on using.
Yep. And it's never okay to be yelled at,
Nope.
screamed at, gaslit. It's okay to have, it's okay for someone to be frustrated and to raise their voice and do this stuff, but there's communication afterwards. There's, this is what I thought, this is what I did. There's talking through these things. You're not to be a punching bag for anybody. You know what I mean? You deserve more than that. We all deserve more than that. I deserve more than that. Your loved ones deserve more than to be that person verbally abusing you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we all have to do the hard thing and choose ourselves.
Yep, and that's why, guys, it's very important later to really, if you haven't yet, watch any video on learning how to separate the addict from the true individual on this page. It was something that helped Mitchell and I tremendously. I know it really helped Mitchell work through that shame and guilt. And I just want everyone to know on here, family members, you guys, you're not alone. Addicts that are either in recovery or still seeking recovery, you're not alone either. I want you to know, same exact thing we're talking about right now. I know if you're probably still in it, listening to it, the shame and guilt really comes out. Just know that our intention is never really to bring out the shame and guilt. The intention is to bring you the truth. Because again, secrets keep us sick. And so the reason why we also do this is because any addict out there, you are worth it. Okay, there is a reason why your family members are still holding on. There is a reason why we hold on to this hope is because we love you, we see the potential in you, and we know that you're amazing individuals. So even when we're holding hard boundaries and you think that we're walking away, a lot of the times, no, we're not. Boundaries are not to tell people to get out of our lives. Boundaries are actually a way that we hope to say, hey, I'm not going to allow this in my life anymore, but I would still love you to be a part of it. Okay, they're showing the guidelines. So I want everyone out there to know that. And if you're thinking about how do I get into a rehab? How do I get into an inpatient? Please reach out. We still know an amazing individual, Ryan Hamus. He's an amazing person. He helps us a lot of the times run people's insurance. If you have insurance, please take that out of your damn pocket. You are worth it. There are facilities out there with amazing people that are ready and willing and wanting to help you and show you a better way of living for you, okay? You deserve it. And I'm going to tell you right now, your family members, whether, as Mitchell said, when he finally told us that he was going to go to rehab for the first time, he was amazed that all of us were so excited and happy because he did not think, I think it was that bad, or just... What was it, Mitchell?
No, I thought everybody's going to be like, no, you don't need to go to treatment.
Yeah, see? But
everybody's like, thank God he's decided to go to treatment.
Why did you think, though, that we were like, no,
I was just hoping that people were going to, save me from going.
Ah, okay.
I was hoping I was going to be saved from going again like I have been my whole life and enabled.
But we actually helped save by doing the other way.
Yep.
By holding hard boundaries.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So out there, guys, I know I'm going to scroll through just for a minute. Mitchell, do you mind if we do?
That's fine.
10 minutes? Okay. I'm going to try to see if I can do this, guys, and scroll up on some of the questions because I do know people have been messaging. And guys, there's a lot. Hold on. So I will let you guys know if I don't get your questions. Yeah, if I don't get to your questions, I will go through tonight and start answering everybody's questions. Sorry for my giant finger.
I think everybody's just saying
in here.
Hi and stuff.
I know I did see a few questions. I think one of them Mitchell did ask, and so I'm going to already ask you this. How did you receive the letter when you read it the first time?
Like I said, I read it with a therapist, and I wasn't shocked. I mean, it was all true. You know what I mean? So, I felt those feelings. I don't think there was anything that I didn't believe happened, or, You know what I mean? I already had like 3 weeks in. Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for it. You know what I mean? Because it's something that the treatment center had us do. It had us reach out to all our loved ones and say, write a letter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's exactly what I needed. I knew that it was coming. Like, I'm asking my family to write an impact letter of what it did to them. So, yeah, no, I received it as, you know, an assignment that came in, and it hurt, but it was real, and I was grateful for it. Honestly, I was really grateful for it.
Who else wrote you an impact letter? Was your mom, dad, Andrea, and Hillary?
My mom and dad. I don't know. I think they're in there. I think my mom and dad did. I think. I don't know, but I had, you know, I also did sessions with I did sessions with my mom. I did sessions with my dad. I did sessions with Andrea, and I think it's my mom. I don't know if my dad did it.
Oh, a person named Tim?
We had,
Tim?
That was the guy who wrote me a letter when he left. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was just curious. So I want people to know that it doesn't have to just be, and it shouldn't just be from the significant other.
No, I mean, if you can get friends that are concerned and like all this stuff, like, it would really help to let everybody know, like, it really help not to let everybody know. It would really help the addict or the true individual. No, I gotta word this right. It would really let the true individual know what other people that they care about see in them when they're using, right? Because we always talk ourselves out of it being that bad. But like, if you have like 3 or 4 best friends saying like, you've just changed, we want this, you know, our person back, like, you know, like my mom, like, you know, I don't know what else to do. You know, it's been this way for 20 years, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing the best I can. You know, hearing the shame and guilt in their thoughts, like, that they can't save us. Like, those are things that we need to hear and say, oh, wow. Like, these other people do see this. Like, the thoughts I have in my head about me maybe being in over my head with this addiction are real. Like, other people see this. This is a actual thing that's happening. You know what I mean? Like, you need that light to be shined on you, like an interrogation almost. Like, hey, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at yourself. Like, those thoughts you're feeling about yourself, those are happening.
Yeah.
Like, here's a dozen people that are saying it is.
And here's, just to let you know, because this is what I was thinking, it was from Kate. Mitchell, how did you receive the letter? So you already did that. But what would you tell her? Because she says she still feels that in her experience, a letter can be turned around and have the receiver say, well, then what's the point? You should just go your own way and forget about me.
Sure.
What would you say?
Sure it can. But, like, that's also a great response in saying, well, then they don't want to work on themselves. You know what I mean? And now that's hard.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard to hear, but, like, I didn't have to work on myself. I could have taken that letter and said, well, the damage is done. I'm just going to make a clean cut. You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe I'll heal and I won't use again, and I'll stay out here in Utah and I'll sell the house and do stuff. I could have done that. I mean, there's no reason why I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, it's facing a lot of hard stuff, but, like, it's going to depend on the person.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether they want to do that work, whether they're going to, you know, lean in and take accountability for the things they've done.
Yeah.
If they don't want to, then they're going to leave. And I tell you what's going to happen. The next relationship, it's going to eventually come to that head. They're going to see all that stuff. Either that person's never going to stand up for themselves or hold boundaries or anything, and they're going to have to just live with somebody lying and doing all this stuff. Or the same thing's going to happen. You did all this, they're not going to take accountability, and they're going to move on again.
Yeah.
Just leaving wreckage in their path.
Kylie said, does it make sense to write a letter when they're still in active addiction? For me, I would say absolutely. Just get them at a time where they're more sober. So if they're coming down, that's the time that I would give them the letter, the impact letter. I've actually had some of my clients ask, I have asked them to write an impact letter, and they could choose if they want to give it or not. And there was one, I'm thinking off the top of my head, she did give it, and it really did help. So it's up to you. But again, like I said, an impact letter is definitely for the person that we love in addiction to shed light on it, but it's also for us to get our feelings and emotions out so that we know that we did say everything.
And that's the thing. It's going to make an impact. It's not going to solve something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What happens from that impact, we don't know. But it's the catalyst for something.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna get it out, which is gonna make you feel better. It's gonna show them that like this does happen. And if it's it wasn't good, that never happened that much, that would, well, keep taking notes, keep doing things, you know what I mean? And then in another week or month or year, write another one and keep saving them until you have a whole book full of impact letters of all this stuff that's happening. Like, you can't deny that this stuff's happening.
Yep. Yolanda, I just read your comment here, and I know that you're worried about him getting the vehicle back, and I'm going to be honest. I know when Mitchell kept kind of getting ahead, it made me really nervous that would he think that, oh, I'm here now, that I can do this. And what I would tell you is, or what I would share with you is what I did with Mitchell that seemed to help is sitting down and actually telling him already my triggers and my fears. Not an accusing way, just letting him know how I feel and how I'm nervous, and then coming up with ways that could help us work through a trigger. I didn't do this until the last time because I do admit the codependency was still very big, that I was very, very scared of always getting that lashback from the addict. However, I needed to learn how to stand confidence in my decisions and my boundaries. And I was saying this to, again, someone the other day too, is boundaries they should be non-negotiable. However, we kind of change our boundaries to their likings. We might say, this is the fine line, and then all of a sudden we have a good talk and our line is up for discussion. Our boundaries should not be up for discussion. If it's up for discussion, we need to realize that we're not confident in our decision yet. So it's gaining strength in ourselves, having that support system, them telling us that everything's okay of what we're doing, and then we have more strength in our boundaries, and they are non-negotiable. They are what they are. There's no negotiating in those boundaries.
Yeah, and I think it's what it comes down to is saying, would you mind calling when you're leaving the job? You know how long it takes to get home. Like, you yourself knows how long it maybe takes to get home. So you're like, okay, so I'll expect you in 20 minutes. And like talk those things out and say, you don't have to do these things, but I'm just letting you know that, like, I'm nervous, and if these things don't happen, if you choose not to do those things because you have the right to, it's going to be a lot harder for me to earn trust back, for me to trust you. Yes. So, like, if they want to earn trust back, like, you'll do the things. Like, I wanted to do everything and more to earn trust back.
Yep. And Emily, I completely relate to you. It is a very nerve-wracking thing. I think things start coming back into our psyche when we're ready. And so,
excuse
me reading this letter can actually be a trigger in itself. And it's things that we're learning now that we need to express or share. And so just know, my message box, the inbox is always open. I promise to try to always be a safe place for everybody on here so that you can express yourself. And then let me see, it makes about sense. I think fear of relapses are normal. They absolutely are. Jennifer is completely right. So guys, what I'm going to do is, just because we're heading up to 10:50, and I know if people are on the East Coast, and I know that you're tired too.
Yeah, and I just also want to say though that, like, the part in there about like intimacy and being with someone who's not treating you well and being in survival response, the longer that happens in the addiction and the use, the more trauma that's going to be around that. You know what I mean? So, like, think about what you want to feel safe, and, like, don't do things you don't want to do. Speak up about how you feel. Because when if it does take a turn for better, it's hard to work through those things. You know what I mean? Me and Anna, we've said that many a times. Like, one of the hardest things that we have to work on is, like, the physical intimacy. We worked on the safety and the trust. Some empathy from each of us to earn that, closeness and vulnerability to like, have that space, but like it comes down to, oh, well, so many years was like I was going against who I was, and it's hard to get that back. It's hard to get that like new relationship back, trust and stuff like that. So like everything that you do, good or bad, like amounts to something later, right? So like on the other side of it, like it's gonna take a long time to work through this stuff. If you're going against who you are in the moment, it's gonna take a long time to earn that kind of safety back. So just think about that whenever you're in a behavior. This is something that's gonna be hard to get through if we turn a corner. You know what I mean?
I want you to answer this mummy's question. And Elise and Tracy or Janet, if you guys are on here, can you comment also? That would be a big help. Okay. Amy said, how do you help the person understand that they have an alcohol addiction? They came off hard drugs, but are still drinking and lying about it. So how do you think Mitchell would go about it if someone... You know how it goes sometimes. People are like, well, it's not the hard drugs. I don't have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah, no, it's honestly what it comes down to is these kind of impact letter things, right? What do others see? Calling people out on behaviors. Are they drinking and driving and potentially going to hurt somebody? That could be... honestly, that could be, if they're driving drunk, calling the police. Those are some hard decisions that you would have to make on your own. I have to admit now that, like, sober, if I saw someone hammered leave, I would absolutely 100% call the cops on them.
This is so funny.
I would so say that you were the worst person ever if you ever did that in addiction. But what is right? Okay, it's right to save other people's lives that may be injured by it. So I would say, if there's nothing that's like happening to like harm or hurt them or others, and they're holding a job and all this stuff, it's very difficult. It's very difficult, especially if you have the thing of, well, I'm not doing hard drugs. I'm just drinking. Other people drink. Yeah, but other people don't drink every day. Well, I don't drink that much every day. There's this one person that drinks twice as much as me a day. There's always an excuse, right? But if they're holding a job, if they've never had a DUI, if the people around them are hanging out still because they're the fun person, like, how are you going to make them see that? And you do that by saying, I miss my son, I miss my friend, I miss this person, these things we used to do together, I don't feel safe around you. Those things all are going to help. And honestly, if they really value your friendship, your love, your compassion, sometimes it ultimately comes down to, if you continue drinking, like, I can't be around that. And it may take them a long time to come back around and realize that they want you in their life. They may not realize that they want you in their life. They might be just happy being miserable or whatever. But you have to do something different, right? So try something. If it doesn't do anything, try something else. If it doesn't do anything, try something else. You know what I mean? That could be not talking to them, holding boundaries. It could be, driving them to a meeting. It could be calling the cops. It could be rallying the friends around them. It could be starting an intervention. It could be thousands of things. So I think any kind of catalyst, anything different, just look at the results. Journal what you're doing, what you see, what you're doing, what you see, and just, try to do that, because it's different for everybody.
Yeah, and I think, Amy, for me, I think what we need to do is really hold those hard boundaries. What do they look like? If we're paying for things, where is that money going to? If they're asking for food,
don't contribute to that.
Yeah, if they're going for food, then get them groceries if that makes feel better, but not money. If they're asking for all different things, we have to put boundaries up. And it can be, and if they want to come over to the home, I love you. However, when you're high or drunk, you're not welcome here, but I still love you. And just letting them know those boundaries, because we have to treat, Just because it's alcohol, it's just alcohol. When addiction is present, it's addiction. It hurts the person and everyone around them. And so we need to treat it the same. We need to hold hard boundaries. And you're not alone in it. That's why one of the people I was saying is Elise and Tracy, if they're on here, they're amazing, amazing moms working really hard recoveries, growing, healing every single day. And anybody on here, if you ever want a really good support system and a really good Thursday night meeting that's actually chaired by two moms, it's Thursday night meeting called the Codependent Connection. And if you say just in the comments, I'd like info on the Thursday night meeting, I will send you the flyer that has the Zoom ID and the passcode and the time it is every single Thursday. It's an absolutely amazing meeting. It has a lot of my Alpine family in there. I cannot speak high enough of them. They're amazing, okay?
Yeah, it's probably been going on for 3
plus years. So what I would definitely say is, I know it's hard, hold those boundaries. And another great book that's out there is Codependent No More. That's another really good one. It helps. Sophia, I just said you'd like the meeting info, and Ashley, I'll definitely send it to you guys, and Chris. So when I sit down tonight and lay in bed, I will send you guys the flyer so that you can have the Thursday night meetings, okay? I'm seeing more people put in. And then guys, if anybody wants a good support system, would like to have a Facebook chat, I have a few Facebook chats going with other people that love someone in addiction. So if you'd like to be a part of that Facebook chat, also message me. We can always start a new one if they get too big so that we can still have, a going together. But we love you guys very much, and everyone on here, whether family or addict, okay, I need you guys all to know you are worth it. Anything that Mitchell and I do on here, even if sometimes it feels a lot more geared towards families, please know, reason why we're also doing that is because I think the families, us, we're worth saving just as much as the other individual. And the part that sucks about addiction is one person has to get out.
Yeah.
And that's how we help the other one that's still in addiction. That's the way we healthy help.
Yeah, and just remember that, like, if this stuff sounds familiar to you, the behaviors in this letter, all this stuff, like, you can get to this side of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I never thought 2017, November 17th, 2017, I never thought that this is where I'd be.
Oh my God, no.
I could never have thought about the stuff I needed to put together day after day to get here. It would have looked like a bunch of gibberish if you would have had like it lined up on like a plan to like execute to like get here. What it is just being mindful every day of what you need, about who you are, who you want to be, people you like, people you don't like, qualities you like and don't like, and always just cycling through this stuff. Like, what behaviors do I like? What behaviors don't I like? Is this okay? What am I doing here? Like, and asking that with like genuine interest and like compassion and love to yourself. Like, not judging. Like, yes, we could do all that stuff and be like fearful of ever having the right answer, but like, actually, it's very fun to grow. It's once you start doing it, it's like the most beautiful thing ever, is that ever-changing person. And that's what you're going to get to, right? We're ever-changing. Like, me and Anna have hard days still, but we always look at it and say, what can we learn from this? Usually not in the moment, usually the next day, but like, eventually we're like, this was neat, or I did this, and like, you know what I mean? Or this came up from the addiction. So you're always like looking at like your life, and it's nice because you feel like you live more by doing that. So recovery is possible. Yep,
it absolutely is, guys, and we love you. Like I said, I'll start messaging people back today, or commenting back when I lay in bed. And if anybody needs to talk, just message. I'll go check the messenger after this on We Are Recovery just to see. And guys, we'll keep doing this again. We'll get back. Hi, Jen. Love you. We'll get back to doing the Monday night meeting every single Monday, guys.
And thanks for always accepting us for who we are and not judging us and loving us. It really means the world to us, because it can be scary sharing your story and your life.
Oh my God, yes.
But just know that we really do see you. We appreciate you. and take that same loving compassion and turn it towards yourself, because you're worth it and you're strong, and you are us.
Yep.
We're all the same. We're all doing it.
That's when we say that's where the name comes from. We are recovery.
We are recovery.
It's all of us together. Well, we love you guys very much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for always being kind and supportive to Mitchell and I. We really appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys soon, okay?
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Love you.